Hello, welcome to Record Time. This week, the Akashic Records are asking us, what is your perfectionism hiding? What is your perfectionism hiding? And it's almost like, oh my gosh, it's like, a little bit of a scary question, a little bit of a prodding question. They're poking us a little bit playfully. And if this question feels a little too sensitive or tender, I want you to honor that. And you don't have to go down this rabbit hole if you don't want to. But if it feels like a tender edge, that still feels like something you might want to explore, then you can be gentle with yourself as you hold this question and contemplate it. So they're asking, right, what is our perfectionism hiding? And this question is so illuminating, just the nature of the question itself. It's a different way to think about perfectionism. We can muse on perfectionism all day long. There's so much weight and heft behind perfectionist tendencies and why we do that, and all the things, and like people pleasing and this and that, whatever. But the way that they're framing it today, the lens that they're offering us today with perfectionism, how to look at perfectionism, is when you find yourself over functioning, really getting like nitty gritty into the details, honing in a little bit intensely around the details, finding yourself getting sucked into it needs to be perfect, where you can almost feel it in your body. It's like this leaning forward and churning, sped up. It's like a fast focus, honing in. And that kind of like laser focus can be so beautiful and so supportive in so many different contexts. And if you are familiar with perfectionist tendencies, if that's something that you that's part of the water that you swim in, then you might know that there's a difference when it's almost like pulling you, and it's not coming from an organic space of choice, where it's almost like, I have to do this, I have to do it. And it's almost like the perfectionism itself is pulling you to make it perfect. And this is kind of like, this is a nuanced, kind of subtle feeling. And it might be that you don't even realize when that's happening, and that's okay. But that's something that you can start to pay attention to. What does a moment of perfectionism actually feel like when you're in it and you're honing in on the details? What does it feel like? I'm describing my own experience of this, where it's like, it almost feels like it's got me a little bit, like it's pulling on me and pulling me in, sucking me in, literally. And so when we're in that space where it's not being detail oriented and like polished and like playing with finesse and yeah, kind of just putting that extra little gleam on top of something out of choice and a desire for something to be, as good as it can be, but rather coming from a place of it has to be good or else something, whatever. And in that sense, they're saying, what is it when the perfectionism kind of is grabbing you a little bit, when it's pulling you in, sucking you in? What is it that you're hiding? In that moment, is there something that you're hoping to conceal by making it perfect? If your whole house is completely, perfectly clean before your friends come over, what is that going to do for you? Is it going to hide a little part of you that doesn't want to be seen? That, oh, I actually leave dirty dishes in the sink. Or like, oh, actually, yeah, like I didn't vacuum that corner, and I actually don't vacuum that corner super regularly. So it's like, what is it that you're trying to hide when that perfectionism really, you know, is on a rampage? When it's really feeling strong? Is there something that you're trying to conceal? And in this way, they're offering us to use our perfectionist tendencies as a pointer, as a mirror, as a signal. When you notice the perfectionism gearing up, getting loud, getting really strong, see if you can pause and ask yourself, is there something that I'm trying to hide? And there's nothing to do about this, as usual. You don't have to force yourself to reveal that part of you. It's not saying change anything that you're doing. It's just noticing. Oh, I'm worried that my friends are going to think my house is dirty. And I'm worried they're going to think that I'm not good at keeping things clean. I'm worried they're going to judge me for being lazy or whatever it is. And it's just like, just by noticing that, there's relief in that. And there's almost like a relief and a slight release too. Inside that honesty, by being honest with yourself, like, oh, I didn't even realize that's why I was doing that. Yeah, I'm worried that they're going to see this part of me, or I'm worried, this thing is going to be visible, whether it's like a part of yourself or a part of your surroundings, whatever it is. But inside that honesty, there is relief and there's release, where it's like, oh, I actually don't have to try that hard. And in that way, often I've noticed that the perfectionism relaxes a little bit. It might not go away completely, but it's like, oh, okay, at least I'm aware of why I'm doing that. And there's like room for levity and sweetness in that, of just seeing yourself very clearly. And after you like take that moment to pause and witness, you can carry on. You can still continue to hide that part of yourself if you want. But the essence of this inquiry is to not hide from yourself. At least you aren't hiding from yourself. And if you want to conceal some of the tender parts from others, that's okay. But they're inviting us into this inquiry so we can begin to feel what it feels like to be comfortable enough to be seen by ourselves. Even if no one else sees that very tender, private part of you, at least you know that it's there. And there's such a sweetness. There's a sense of like love and acceptance and really feeling seen by your own gaze. And there's something really lovely about that. And so there's a gift inside that. So that's where I'm going to leave you for today. Offering you this, this contemplation. Next time you feel some perfectionism bubbling up, you can use it as a gateway into connection, deeper connection with yourself. Okay. And if you spend a moment contemplating this, I'd love to know what this sparks in you, how this lands, what resonates with you, if anything. And until next time, I'm wishing you well. Namaste.